Investment advisory service is offered on a fee basis through Global Financial Private Capital, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this radio program are those of Jim Birds and participants, and not those of Global Financial Private Capital, LLC. The participants on this program may take forward-looking statements, including but not limited to statements as to future events that involve various risks and uncertainties. Forward-looking statements involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors that may cause events or results to differ materially from those that were forecast. Therefore, no forecast should be construed as a guarantee. Investing in securities and annuities involves the risk of principal loss. Prior to making any investment decision, listeners should consult a professional to determine the risk, cost, benefits, and fees associated with the particular investment. Information obtained from a third-party resource is believed to be reliable, but the accuracy cannot be guaranteed. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims-paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Global Financial Private Capital. It's time now for Safe Investing in the New Economy, brought to you by Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne, with your host, Mr. Jim Bird.
Hello, folks.
I'm your producer, Lori Dubose. Hello, Jim.
Hello, Laurie. Andrew is on another assignment. He couldn't be here today, so I'm soloing it today with you, Laurie.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I do want to announce our upcoming seminars, Tuesday, June 22nd at the Oyster House on the Causeway, and Thursday, June 25th at Jesse's at Magnolia Springs. We're having 2 seminars. We have changed the topic of our seminars, folks. If you've been here or heard them before, we're talking about Social Security and VA benefits now as part of our seminar. Since Andrew's very, very knowledgeable on VA benefits and stuff, that we thought we'd add that in there, and we've got a lot of callers this week on that already. So we found a client that did not know that her spouse was eligible for long-term care benefits. She was a widow of a World War II veteran, and so we got that for her. So
that's wonderful.
Call us, folks. I do want to talk about our new website, www.askjimbird.com. That's where you can go and submit questions, and I'll answer your questions on the air.
Ask Jim Bird, and that's BYRD, askjimbird.com.
And check out our Facebook page for upcoming events, and also see photos from numerous events that we've had, Laurie. And I do want to get into one of the questions I have today. As one of the people asked me, Jim, I'm hearing a lot about Safe Harbor Fiduciary. Is this your business? And Laurie, that's not my business. My ex-partner that I had has a company in Pensacola, and he calls it Safe Harbor, and he uses the same logo, but it's been Safe Harbor Tax Advisory, Safe Harbor Fiduciary, Safe Harbor many things, and he's now advertising an office in Mobile. Got a young guy over in Mobile, but they are not us, folks, and we're all fiduciaries. We all have a fiduciary responsibility, so don't let that fool you, but it's not us, and he doesn't have near the experience I have. I hired him. He's got 6-7 years in the business, and I've got 33. So I know who he is, what he is, but don't want you to confuse the situation and think that it's Safe Harbor out of Daphne, Alabama.
You are Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne. So if you Google, put Safe Harbor Financial Services Daphne, or just go straight to askjimbird.com or safeharfin.com, which is short for Safe Harbor Financial, safe, HARFIN.com. Better yet, call for your invitation to the upcoming seminars or for a complimentary consultation. We offer all of our radio program listeners 625-1226.
625-1226.
Or toll free 877-251-1984.
877-251-1984. We are located in Daphne, Alabama. That is where I have been for the last 8-10 years. And I am from Mobile. Came down to Mobile in 1984, folks, and I've been a manager of MetLife, and I've been a manager of Principal Financial Group before I came into business of my own and created Safe Harbor. So, but another question that we have, Lori, is from Steve, and he said, what do I need to do to ensure my Social Security benefits are based off my highest paying job and not my most recent job? And well, Steve, thank you for the question, but Social Security retirement benefit is based on the highest 35 years of earnings from your work history, so it doesn't matter when you work for a higher or lower paying job. Social Security Administration will take inflation into account and use the highest 35 calendar years of earnings to calculate your benefit. And since Social Security Administration has the records of your earnings for any job where you paid Social Security, that's your FICA tax. You don't have to inform them of which jobs or anything. They do that for you. It's automatically. Mm-hmm. So you go there and tell them you want to retire and this and that. Now, what they won't give you is advice, Steve, on how there's 564 ways to take Social Security. And they're not allowed to give you any advice. They only tell you what you're eligible for and this and that. That's why you need to come to our seminars, folks. Any of you are listening, and we're going to talk about ways to take Social Security.
My husband is a few years older than me, and he recently, just the other day, got a letter from Social Security because he's 62 and explained the amount of benefits that he would receive.
Yes.
If he drew now or if he waited till 66 and a half or 67. And we've both, thanks to your advice, have decided he's got to work another 4 years. and there's a great reason for that.
Yeah.
If you're able and you can, explain to us why waiting can make you a lot more money.
Absolutely, Laurie. From 62 to 65, your Social Security benefit grows at 6%, which is not a bad rate anyway. Okay, but 65 to 70, it grows at 8%. Now, 8% is a phenomenal rate in this environment, okay? Mm-hmm. But some of the strategies that we're talking about, and I'm going to do this strategy myself, Laurie, I'm not taking Social Security, but when my spouse gets 62, I'm going to let her draw on mine because my benefit's going to be higher than her own benefit would be, and draw off of mine. I'm going to suspend mine to 70. Then at 70, she can take her full Social Security, which grew at 8% a year. Take her full Social Security on her, which will be higher, and I can take my full Social Security, which will be maxed out. Now, I can take Social Security anytime after 66 and might be taxable. See, they changed the law years back and said that it was taxable. You could only earn so much money a year or it would be taxable. Your Social Security would be taxable unless you started at full retirement age or until you reached full retirement age, which for me was 66 and 10 months. Now, I don't know about your husband. It's probably a little longer, more like 67. But so you got to know these rules and know these things, and I don't have time to dedicate the show to that today. But if you'll come to the seminar, we're going to talk about that.
Or call for a complimentary consultation. Even if you're listening on the weekend, pick up the phone and leave a message. Call Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne. Say you've been listening to the radio show and you'd like to come in for that free consultation. No obligation. 625-1226.
625-1226.
Or toll free 877-251-1984.
877-251-1984. And Lori, I want to thank all the people that came in even this past week. We came in off the radio show. We got regular listeners, and they're coming in and getting information, and they're finding out I don't bite. So, they come in, and I don't try to force them to do anything. But we have had a lady came in this week off the radio and had CDs that were maturing, and she was getting a big old 0.5% taxable interest on her CDs. And we came in, and she was wanted to do something else, and we had to do it quick because you got a certain time or they'll renew that CD automatically. Mm-hmm. And we helped her out, and she's a lovely lady, and I appreciate her coming in. She's a regular listener, and I don't give names, but she's a friend of yours, Laurie. So
very good.
I love her coming in. But I have one more question that somebody submitted. Jim, I have a question about my 401k. The max contribution amount is $17,500 per year, correct? Does that include both what my employer contributes and what I contribute combined? I'm trying to max this out. Thanks, Tom. Tom, thanks for your question. You're correct. The current 401k maximum referral in it is $17,500, but this does not include any contribution that your employer made to your plan. However, your plan may have additional contribution limits that could apply, so contact your plan administrator to confirm what limits apply to you. And another question I get asked a lot folks is people are getting close to retirement. They want to pull out of their 401k, Laurie, because they want to get out of the market and get it in something safe but and still get a good return, like a hybrid annuity. And you can do that with your 401k, but your plan administrator controls, or your plan controls what age you can do that. So you can pull out and still contribute to your 401k. Most plans from anywhere from 55 to 59 and a half, but some plans you got to fully retire before you can do that. And so every plan is different. And we had a case this week where a guy came in and he rolled his money over 16 months ago to us, and now they caught the error and said he wasn't eligible to roll it over, and that was their fault. They missed it, and so they had to change their plan to adjust for that. But we don't know what your plan says. I only know that you can roll it over there. The same rules apply, though. If you take distribution before 59 and a half, you're going to pay a 10% penalty besides taxes. So that's what people got to understand. Usually it's better not to draw on it till you're 59 and a half, but you can roll it over at any time that your plan will let you roll it over and still contribute.
Can you help determine if they're eligible to roll it over or not?
No, that's something that we have to call their human resource or plan administrator and ask them, because I don't know every plan out there. They differ. There are some plans out there you can move them, and there's some that you never can move them. I had a client who went to part-time, a nurse, and she wanted to move her money out of there, and they said, nope, you can't move it until you fully retire. So, but my suggestion, folks, if you're anywhere close to retiring in 5-10 years, where we know the market's headed and where it's going, you need to get out of there. Or if you can't move it, at least call and change it to the fixed rate inside your plan. There's no risk on the fixed rate. You won't make as much interest, but it will keep you from losing 40-50% of your money in a downturn and a market correction, and that's what we're headed for, folks. I don't care what anybody else is telling you, financial advisors, and most of them agreeing now with me. They're hearing it on television, everything. The market's going to have a major correction, and I've been preaching that for years. I mean, as of this show, the market's been down about 6 days straight in a row, and for no really reason, it should be, and just people are hesitant to invest right now, and the worst thing you do is take your money out and pull it and either put it in the bank or put it in the sock, because you're not making any interest on that. And if it's in the bank, it's taxable. So you don't want to do that. I've got liquid places to put your money that can earn 5 or 6% on your money. Keep it liquid. I also have, you can earn much higher interest rate, but there are restrictions and limited liquidity. So you gotta know what's right and what you want before I can tell blanket questions on here.
Well, okay. It's pretty complicated. So what you recommend is for people to bring their paperwork, their portfolio into their complimentary consultation. You give a review of their situation. You learn about what their goals and their needs are, their heirs, etc. And then you customize a plan that fits and will help them meet those goals. Some safety, some liquidity, something to leave to their heirs.
Exactly, Lori, exactly. And I sell IRA annuities as non-IRA annuities also. They can be either one, so don't forget that. But, for the non-qualified money, I have places to put it's liquid. And I mentioned many times a life insurance plan that's completely liquid and it's paying a index to the market, currently paying about 5 3/4% interest. And it's completely liquid, has life insurance and long-term care in it. That's a beautiful concept, but you got to qualify medically. I mean, you have to be reasonably in good health. And a phone call, I can't help everybody with that, but
you have had people qualify up to age 85, and it is done through a phone call that just is a few minutes long, and you've had a great success rate with that.
I have, and I'm writing an awful lot of that. I'm doing well with that, and I love that product for your liquid money. And our process, Lori, the program headline I was going to talk about tonight is your retirement planning keeping you up at night. Okay, now, Lori, you're a client, and you've been to us, and you know how we operate. You know that, but according to Employee Research Benefit Institute, 46% of all American workers have less than $10,000 saved for retirement, and 29% of all Americans have less than $1,000 saved for retirement. Those folks, Lori, are probably younger folks, and Social Security. We've been assured Social Security is going to be okay for age 50 and over. But if you're under 50 then there's going to be some major changes down the road in Social Security. So that one dependent guaranteed income may not be as stable as it needs to be, and so folks need some guaranteed lifetime income. They need some income they know that's coming in. Now, if you want to gamble and you like to gamble your money and you don't mind losing it, you can certainly do that, some part of your money. But the money you need for income, that you want to be there for you and your wife the rest of your life, you better come see me, folks, because there's very few places you can do that anymore.
And you have the places, you have the plans, you have the ideas, you have the experience. Jim Bird of Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne at 625-1226.
625-1226.
Or toll free 877-251-1984.
877-251-1984. And Lori, in spite of available 401k plans, around 1/3 of Americans have no retirement savings whatsoever.
I recently read that.
The average couple retiring today, and listen to this, Lori, at age 65 will need $240,000 to cover medical care. Okay, now that's another issue that I want to bring up. A lot of my vehicles that we use, investment vehicles, have free long-term care in it. Free long-term care, folks, and long-term care is going to cost you $1,000, $4,000 a month, depending on your age and benefits and all, that you've got to take out of your retirement money to pay for.
Most of us can't really do that.
No. And that's why that's very important to look at some product that would give you free long-term care. I don't know how anybody could argue with that and not even be reasonably look at that, or how a broker could tell them not to do that, folks. I don't know. But come see me, and I'll give you a fair appraisal, fair thing. I've talked to many of my listeners that called in on the phone, and I've told them right up front, I don't think I can help you. I can help you. Come in and see me. Let's do a free consultation, absolutely free. Sit down and go over your stuff, and let's see what you want. But let me give you some other guidelines. I don't have a lot of time on the show to go through all of this in depth, but at age 35, Lori, which Lori just had a birthday. I told everybody she's 40, so she's close to say.
There you go.
At age 35, you should have saved the amount equal to your annual salary, okay? At 45, you should have saved 3 times your annual salary. At 55, you should have 5 times your annual salary. Okay, when you retire at 67, you should have 8 times your annual pay in retirement. How many of us do that, Lori? Most folks that I see, and I see them day in, day out, folks, for 33 years. I've seen every situation imaginable. I find very few I can't help. But I can't make you have $1 million if you've only got $100 in the bank. I can't make you have $1 million. It's retirement. But I can show you how to secure what you got and keep from losing what you got. And that's important in this environment, because folks just don't know that, in 2008, if any of you were in the market, how much did you lose? Did you move fast enough not to lose 40% like everybody else? Most of us didn't. Okay? So you got to realize that this market downturn may be depression era type losses, and we may be down to 60, 70%. The market may crash. Harry Dent says the market's ultimately going to drop to 3,300. And that's a long way from 1,700.
The question
to
is,
13,000.
Can you afford to lose that money?
No, and that's all I'm saying. And I hate to say it, I'm begging people. It's not that I need the business. I love people. I like helping them, and I want them to come in and see me, folks, because I've seen people cry, literally cry in my office in tears, and we don't know what we're going to do.
I'll never forget the gentleman I met at one of your customer appreciation parties who said, I wished I'd met Jim Bird before 2008, because he had lost a lot of money, and he came to you after that.
And I'd be surprised how many people I got out there, Laura, that are out of the market, but they don't know what to do. They're leaving it in the bank or saving accounts and hoarding, and that's not a way to do it either, because you can't afford that kind of losses in your interest earnings, and it's taxable. So you need to come see me. Banks are fighting. Everybody wants their money, Laura. Financial advisors want their money. Banks want the money. Everybody wants 401ks, want them to keep their money in there, because that's how they're making all their money, the fiduciaries that they have. But you got to come and look what's right for you and what's right for your situation. I mean, and stage one of any retirement planning, you got to build a financial foundation, okay? Young adults particularly, they got to learn how to manage spending and saving. I was there. I was young once, believe folk, and we had kids, and, and everything comes first. But you got to be a forced saving. You got to put that money aside that you need to do it down the road. Even a $10 a week. Be surprised with what kind of difference that would make, Laurie. People saving, but they don't want to do it. I mean, they throw $10 out a day on a movie or something and not even think about it. So you start saving early. Okay, identify ways to save and prepare a budget. Use wise borrowing strategy. It's so easy to borrow, especially on homes now. The interest rates are down to nothing, and people are getting in a massive debt that they're not going to be able to pay down the road. The government made easy loaning money, made it easy getting money, and I see all the ads all the time. Refinance. They're begging me to refinance stuff, and that's just getting more debt, folks. That's getting more debt. Somebody's making money, these things, okay? Use wise borrowing strategy. Don't you misuse credit cards. Make sure you have adequate insurance. Take advantage of employee benefit plans at work. Now, the thing about employee benefit plans like 401ks, if your employer matches them, you at least want to put to the level of their match because that's free money. Okay, that is free money. And if they match 4% of what you put in, that put it the max in there because that's 4% on top of that before you ever invest it. So you do that. But the problem with 401ks after retirement is they're expensive, they're loaded with costs, and they're still at risk. It's hard to manage that risk. So you need to come see us, and let's show you ways where to put that 401k.
You have a product where you can participate in the market gains but not the losses.
That's exactly right. That's a
Tell
hybrid.
us about that.
Well, a hybrid annuity in the market, there's no doubt that you're going to make the biggest return in the market, stay in the market, but you also take the biggest risk in the market. So, it's a risk reward. A hybrid annuity is going to give you most of the market returns. There's different variations of what you get in that return, but you get different returns in the market, but you absolutely have no risk at all. And most of the hybrid annuities now have a minimum guarantee that you make. And I have products, believe it or not, paying right now guaranteed 7%. Now, there's restrictions on that. Your money's not as liquid. It's going to only be liquid 10% a year or for a guaranteed income, but it's actually paying 7% a year. So, there's all plans. And those plans have the home health care doubler where the income doubles so you get confined to a nursing home or need home health care. Folks, I'm telling you, it's hard to beat that. It's just hard to beat that.
It is amazing.
And I do this every day.
So if you'd like to learn more about that opportunity, we offer a complimentary evaluation, a complimentary consultation with Jim Bird of Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne to all of our radio program listeners. Call 625-1226.
625-1226.
Or toll free 877-251-1984.
877-251-1984.
You can also log on to AskJimBird.com, AskJimBird.com, and that is BYRD.
Stage 2, Laurie, of retirement planning is during your prime earning years. This is often the time when your income is rising as well as expenses. Nicer homes, nicer cars, raising children can easily consume your income. It's a time when the financial decisions you make have the greatest impact on your financial lifestyle you enjoy during retirement. By now, you should have accumulated some savings and developed the expertise to make sound choices. Unfortunately, most people out there haven't, Laurie. They don't plan ahead for their children's college expense. That's going to be a big expense. And there's things out there like 529 plans or the Coverdell Education Savings Accounts. They call them education IRAs. Both have significant tax advantages. Full advantage of employee-offered retirement plans. If you have a 401k plan, contribute as much as you can, as I said earlier. Invest wisely. Consider an asset allocation strategy that matches your time horizon, age, and risk tolerance. Okay, now I have people come in, and one of the questions I ask is how much risk are you willing to take? And that's one of the questions. And most people tell me zero, because I deal with seniors or people, pre-retirement. Mm-hmm. But younger folks can take a little more risk because time is your biggest ally in the market. More time you got, more chance you can make the money back. But at our age, my age, we don't have that kind of time. If the market drops 40% down, we won't have enough time to make it out, especially if we're drawing from that money. Mm-hmm. It makes it harder. And a lot of folks, don't realize at 70 and a half, you got to start drawing on your IRA whether you want to or not. It's called RMD, required minimum distribution. You got to take that. And so there's a withdrawal whether you want the money or not in an IRA. You got to start drawing it.
And then it's taxable too, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100% taxable. You're right. And it talks about preparing an estate plan to minimize taxes, ensure your custodial, financial, and medical wishes are carried out. You know, estate planning is not as prevalent as it was, Lori, a long time ago because of the new administration. They upped the exemption on that to $5 million a person, so you could exempt $10 million, husband and wife. There's not many of us have $10 million that we could, that we have to worry about.
Right.
Lori probably does.
Yeah.
Stage 3 is nearing or during retirement. These years can be the most enjoyable, fulfilling times of your life, and if children and grandchildren are a part of your life, having the financial ability to keep them help them can be rewarding. A successful career, the freedom to live the retirement lifestyle of your choice, and sense of satisfaction with what you have accomplished can make your golden years truly enjoyable. However, there's still some financial issues that need to be addressed. Be sure your medical insurance is adequate. That's a big issue now. With Obamacare and all that changing on, there's people are living longer. The cost of medical care is going up. Medicare, Medicaid, private health insurance is going up every year. You've got to qualify for Medicare whether you want to or not at 65. Okay, you got to be eligible for that, and that means you got co-pays and all that. You got to have a Medicare supplement if you really want good insurance. I know that for a fact. Be sure your estate plan is up to date. Changes in your financial education, moving to a different house or state, and changes in your family should all be triggered for reviewing your estate plan with a qualified estate planning attorney. Continue to manage your investments carefully. If you're using an advisor or a stockbroker, be sure to fully understand the recommendations for accepting them and know the cost. You got to know the cost of this. A lot of people got a lot of hidden costs that they don't understand, and that's where I come in and tell people what their actual cost is, what they're actually at risk, and what their exposure to lose. Okay, and if you don't want to lose money in the market, folks, then you got to get out of the market. If you want a market-like returns without any risk, then you got to come see me, and I can put you in a hybrid annuity or something like that. There are restrictions. They're not liquid, but for your liquid money, I have other avenues to put them. And I use managed money, and I use Global Financial Private Capital, which is Fidelity, is their fiduciary, and they've got a conservative income fund that's never had a losing year. Money's completely liquid, and it's not guaranteed, but it's safe, and it's relatively safe, and by people like that. So listen to me, folks, and not just let your brokers over there, he's annuities. I just sell annuities. I sell whatever the need requires. That's what I sell, Larry.
And what is right for each particular individual and situation.
That's why I have over 500 clients, and I've been doing this for 33 years, Larry.
So call Safe Harbor Financial Services in Daphne. Make sure if you Google it, you put Daphne, Alabama. You can also go to AskJimByrd.com, AskJimByrd.com. And I'm glad you brought up the fees and hidden costs, because you can help a client understand what they're actually earning once that's unveiled they may not be aware of.
I've actually called the companies right in front of them and said, what are y'all fees and charges here? They have to disclose it.
Mm-hmm.
So come in and let's get a fee disclosure. And there's a lot of things I didn't have time to go 7 steps to get ready for time. We didn't have time today, and we'll take that up.
Let's do that next week.
Next week.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Laura.
You've been listening to Safe Investing in the New Economy, brought to you by Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne. Pick up the phone, even if it's on the weekend. Leave a message for Jim Byrd and your complimentary consultation at 625-1226, 625-1226, or toll free 877-251-1984. I'm your producer, Lori Dubose. Listen each week at this same time on this same station for Safe Investing and the New Economy.